Imagine this. You lead your country through, well, its darkest hour, this brutal war. Then you end up imprisoned. But you don't just fade away. You bounce back, stay in politics for decades, shaping the future. What kind of person does that?
That really sums up Väinö Tanner, doesn't it?
Yeah.
An absolute central figure in Finland's 20th century, his life. It's just a masterclass in resilience, in conviction against unbelievable odds.
And that's what we're getting into today. We're doing a deep dive using excerpts from Väinö Tanner, Finland's steadfast leader through adversity. The aim here is to really unpack it, pull out the key nuggets, and understand what made him so pivotal, especially when, everything was on the line.
Right. We'll trace his path, look at the context, the immense challenges he faced, those really tough, sometimes controversial decisions, and maybe see what lessons his, well, very long and impactful life holds for us today. It's quite a journey.
It really is. So let's start at the beginning. He didn't exactly have an easy start, did he?
No, not at all. Born in Helsinki, 1881. His family background was pretty modest. His father was a railway worker. So yeah, his early life involved a fair bit of struggle.
So it wasn't a clear path to the top then?
Oh, far from it. The source makes a point of this, what he lacked in, say, inherited privilege, he really made up for with just sheer ambition and determination. You get this picture of someone constantly pushing, driven from within.
But he managed to get educated?
He did, yes.
Yeah.
As a first upper secondary school, then moving into business and law. And that just reinforces the point, doesn't it? He wasn't handed a future. He was actively, building one. Hard work, making the most of any opportunity.
That whole idea of building your own path from, well, maybe not nothing, but from modest means, it feels relevant. I mean, relying on your own drive when things aren't laid out for you, does that strike a chord with you? That idea of determination as the foundation?
Oh, absolutely. It's a powerful reminder, isn't it? Your starting point isn't necessarily your end point. And for Tanner, it wasn't just about personal ambition. It was about developing that grit, that toughness that would later serve him and Finland in much bigger ways. It laid the groundwork for a wider vision.
And that vision, it really started taking to quite early, particularly with the cooperative movement.
Yes, exactly. That's where you see him starting to translate that drive into something with broader societal impact. He studied in Germany, came back with these, well, quite forward-thinking ideas about economic democracy. And he didn't just theorize.
He got involved directly.
Very directly. Rose quickly, managed Finland's biggest cooperative retail society, then chaired major cooperative groups. The core idea was about empowering ordinary Finns economically, giving them a stake, control over their own economic lives through working together.
The source uses that phrase, a quiet revolution.
And it fits, I think, because instead of focusing only on, say, class warfare, which was very much the theme then, he aimed to unite people through shared economic goals, building prosperity together. It was about giving people the tools.
Building bridges, not walls, like you said. Taking control of your destiny. That's a really interesting way to approach change, isn't it? Not just upheaval, but empowerment, collaboration.
It was pragmatic, but also deeply visionary. And that philosophy, working across divides, building strength from the ground up, became absolutely crucial for the country, especially after a really traumatic period.
Right, you mean the 1918 Civil War.
Exactly. Finland was just shattered by it, deeply scarred. The wounds were incredibly raw, the divisions intense, fueled by so much bitterness on both sides.
And Tanner's role during and after that, it was quite distinctive.
It really was. The source points this out clearly. He chose neutrality during the fighting. He refused to take up arms.
Yeah.
Critically, he didn't get swept up in the hatred that just permeated everything at that time.
That couldn't have been easy, standing apart like that.
No, incredibly difficult. Imagine the pressure, the sheer emotion swirling around. But he came out of it as a leading voice in the Social Democrats, arguing not for payback, but for parliamentary democracy, and, crucially, for rehabilitating his party, which had been on the losing side.
And then something pretty remarkable happened as a result.
He was extraordinary, really. Less than 10 years after that horrific civil war, the Social Democrats, with him leading, were actually asked to form a government. Think about that. A party so deeply involved in the conflict, now tasked with leading, with reconciliation. It says so much about the trust he managed to build.
Wow. To push for unity, for looking forward, not back, when the pain was still so fresh, that's quite something.
It took immense political skill and, frankly, moral courage. His focus was on stabilizing things, not settling scores.
And this led fairly quickly to his time as prime minister in 1926.
Yes, 1926 to 27.
Right.
And it wasn't easy going. He led a minority government, which means right from the start he was facing a lot of skepticism, a lot of opposition.
So again, pushing against the tide.
Absolutely. A really challenging political landscape. But even without that clear majority, his government did manage to lay some really important foundations for what would become the Finnish welfare state.
What kind of things are we talking about? Specific steps?
Well, the source mentioned some key reforms. They passed amnesty laws, which was about continuing that healing process from the Civil War. They reduced duties on food, helping ordinary families. And they started putting down the markers for modern pension and health insurance systems.
Kind of laying the bricks for a fairer society.
Precisely. Each step was deliberate, aimed at making Finland more equitable, more secure for its people. It really shows his persistence, doesn't it? Pushing for change bit by bit, even when facing resistance.
Okay, so this journey then leads us to perhaps the most defining moment, the Winter War.
This is really the crucible, isn't it?
Yeah.
The period the source focuses on so intensely, the Winter War, 1939-1940. The situation couldn't be more serious. The Soviet Union making these huge demands, threatening Finland's very existence. The whole world was watching.
Wondering if this small nation would just be swallowed up.
That was the terrifying reality. Tanner was foreign minister then, and he became, as the source puts it, a really visible symbol of Finnish unity, of Finnish resolve.
He was right in the thick of the negotiations with Moscow.
He was, alongside J.K. Paasikivi. The source has that powerful line about them holding the fate of Finland in their hands.
Just stop and think about that for a second. That weight. The future of your entire nation resting on those tense, high-stakes talks.
It's almost impossible to fully comprehend that level of responsibility. Every word, every choice. But, the source emphasizes, Tanner didn't buckle.
He chose resolve, even facing overwhelming power.
He did. And his leadership, that refusal to just give in, was absolutely critical in forging what's known as the spirit of the Winter War. That amazing, almost unbelievable unity across Finnish society. Everyone standing together to defend their country against incredible odds.
That's where that phrase really hits home, him being the torchbearer of hope in the darkest winter. In that ultimate crisis, his steadfastness, his embodiment of unity, gave people something vital to cling to.
It was leadership defined by sheer courage, and that ability to rally a nation when things looked bleakest. It wasn't just about politics, it was about moral leadership, inspiring that collective resistance.
But as the source makes clear, being such a prominent, often controversial leader, it comes with a price.
It certainly does. After the continuation war which followed the Winter War, Tanner faced a major reckoning, both politically and personally.
Right, he was put on trial, imprisoned.
Yes, tried and sentenced for responsibility for the war. And the source is careful here, and we should be too. Just reporting it impartially, it notes that while he was convicted, the verdict was heavily influenced by the political realities of the post-war world, particularly the need to satisfy the Soviet Union. It wasn't purely a judicial matter.
So the geopolitical pressures were immense at that point.
That's definitely the implication from the source material. It was incredibly complex. National survival in a new world order was the priority. But even in prison, Tanner's resolve didn't seem to fade. He remained a powerful figure, a rallying point for a part of his party, still pushing his vision.
And he was pretty critical of Finland's foreign policy after the war.
Oh, very much so. That post-war era required this delicate balancing act with the Soviet Union. Tanner was a fierce defender of Finnish independence and pushed back hard against what he saw as excessive Soviet influence in Finland's affairs.
Which you can imagine made him a very divisive figure.
Extremely. To some, especially those focused on maintaining smooth relations with their powerful neighbor, he seemed like an obstacle, a hardliner, maybe even dangerous. But to others, those who prized absolute sovereignty, he was a hero, someone refusing to compromise on fundamental principles. It really shows, doesn't it? Taking a stand, especially on sensitive issues, often means you won't be popular. It's about conviction, even if you end up standing alone.
The source really drives that home, that leaders who challenge the consensus, who stick to their principles no matter what, often pay a steep price.
Tanner's life is definitely a stark illustration of that. The cost of conviction can be very high.
And yet, despite the prison sentence, the controversy, his story didn't end there.
No, not by a long shot. Despite concerted efforts to sideline him politically and a lot of internal strife within his own party, Tanner staged this remarkable comeback. He got back into Parliament and remained an influential figure for decades more.
Serving in parliament across 7 decades. That's just astonishing longevity.
The source highlights that it's apparently a unique feat in Finnish history. He also ran for president 3 times during that later period, though he never won.
And that detail the source includes about President Kekkonen apparently skipping his funeral.
Yeah, it's quite a telling detail, isn't it? It really shows how, even at the end of his life, the controversies, his unwavering stances, meant that relationships with other key figures could remain deeply strained. It underlines the divisions his strong beliefs sometimes caused. But even with those tensions, his underlying influence, his vision for Finland, it endured.
And ultimately, that core vision, it kind of prevailed.
The source certainly suggests that. His steadfast belief in a democratic, independent Finland that was the path the nation ultimately stayed on. His long-term impact is clear, even during periods when he wasn't holding the top jobs. It's just an incredible example of perseverance through thick and thin.
So if we pull it all together, just based on the source material, what's the big universal lesson we can take away from Väinö Tanner's life?
I think the most powerful thing is seeing the sheer impact one individual can have. Someone armed with, well, deep conviction, incredible resilience, and a clear vision for the common good. They can genuinely alter history's course, especially when facing down massive adversity. His life underlines how crucial it is to stand firm, to find ways to build unity even after terrible division, and just to keep pushing for something better, no matter the setbacks.
Unity, courage, perseverance, those words just keep coming up, don't they?
They really do seem to define his arc. Unity after the Civil War, incredible courage during the Winter War, and just that relentless perseverance coming back again and again, despite everything.
And maybe bringing it back to you listening right now, when you face your own winters, those times of fear, maybe deep self-doubt, or real division in your work, your community, your life, perhaps remember Tanner. Remember this figure who stood strong for his nation, who chose unity over hatred, and who kept believing in a better future, even from a prison cell.
Yeah, there's this underlying message in the source, I think. Real change doesn't usually come from the timid or the hesitant. It comes from people who find the courage to lead, the willingness to reconcile, and just the sheer determination to fix things. Tanner was willing to be that person.
So maybe here's a final thought to mull over, inspired by his legacy. What will you do when your moment comes? Will you be the one advocating for unity when everyone else is shouting? Will you lend a hand to lift others? Will you stand firm for what you believe in when it feels like the ground is shaking beneath you?
His story isn't just about the past. It's really a challenge, isn't it? A challenge for all of us to dig deep, find that courage, push through our own tough times, and always, always keep hope alive.